This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Savaged, unfiltered. Your host, Michael Garn.
Hey, Sauce, what's going on, buddy?
It's going pretty good. How about you?
Doing pretty good. Sauce, we're gonna get into the Scooby Doo story. First and foremost, before we get into that story, man, I want to allow the listeners to understand that it is Sauceland's birthday. Happy birthday, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Big 24.
Yeah, you're getting old, man, right?
I'm an old timer now. Yeah.
Well, you still have a long ways before you hit the big 30. So.
Oh, yeah, 6 years left.
Yep. So, anyways, man, how was the conferences there in the Lone Star State?
Oh, it is fantastic, hands down. I think it's a very cool opportunity that I've been given to attend, to learn a little bit more about myself, and just to really study of what kind of a faith foundation I have, and the people that I've met, interacted with. It's a huge blessing. And one thing that I found out is, I did not know that a few of them know my podcast, and you're talking about pastors from all over the world,
Yeah.
And it's just a very cool and humbling experience. And so the event has been absolutely fantastic.
That's awesome. It's awesome to hear. And you were right outside of Houston, right?
Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. Okay. Well, not too far from Houston.
No.
But I want to get into, guys, first and foremost, before we kick it off, I normally have Sauce on, bring him on today because, for one, it's his birthday, and I wanted to honor his birthday and everything else. And then two, I got to get into the story here with the Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
with this Velma story. Yeah. Before we get into the lesbian stuff, like Sauce says, Sauce, what did you do on your birthday, man?
So I've just kind of relaxed. I've just kind of so right now I'm just kind of enjoying my time at the conference, and it's just a very peaceful interaction we've been having, and I just think, I think it's nice to take some time to learn about yourself and educate yourself. So
yeah. So you're still in Texas then?
Yes. Yep. And if it makes it so, I could potentially have your guests line up, or not your guests, but there's going to be interviews next week on Tuesday and Wednesday of congressmen and congresswomen in Wisconsin and Indiana. So I've been keeping in touch with them. So they're going to be on my podcast of an in-person interview. That's very exciting. So it's going to be a long drive. Yeah, it's going to be in Indiana.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, man. You're going all over the country, man, meeting new people. And, I mean, that's truly what the American dream is all about, Sauce. Yeah. I mean, and it kind of sucks, man, that you have to, travel on your birthday. You'd like to think that you'd like to, hit the bar with a couple friends, have a couple of beers, or maybe some steak or something, or lobster. But, it is what it is. It happens. And you're doing the right thing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and you also have to look at this as well. So I am going to, the funny part is that I'm going to a friend's house on Tuesday of next week after their congresswoman interview, and I'm going to interview her. We're going to go to Chicago, and we're going to do we're going to go out and about, and we're spending the night at his house before I have to make my way back up to Wisconsin. So, and I just want to touch your viewers as well. 3 years ago today, I was actually in the hospital paralyzed. And pardon me if I get sentimental, but I wasn't even supposed to be alive, actually, because the doctors were getting ready for me to take me off life support, and they were getting ready for me to close my end of my chapter for good. And it's so cool how, I've come a long ways, and now I'm doing my own show, and I never expected this. 3 years ago today, this very day, they made a very crucial decision to almost pull the plug.
Well, Sash, you know what that's telling you, right? There's somebody definitely watching over you.
And it is, and that's why, I take each day I take for granted. Each day is, how cool of an impact, and that's why I started this podcast. My Remember God Loves You. And I want to kind of share your viewers because I want to get on a personal note because a lot of them ask, okay, why did you start the podcast? I get that question all the time. Well, when you're in the hospital all alone, and you there's no family around you because you're overseas and you're on the other side of the country, you get so depressed and so alone. And so, the reason I started doing a video podcast called Remember God Loves You and I'll Meet at the Finish Line, and I started doing that video podcast before I switched over. And it was to bring people together, and it was to bring peace and comfort to those people that were in the hotel rooms, or not hotel rooms, in hospitals, that were alone and that were going through difficult times like I was at that time. And just the interaction of it was just cool. And now it's expanded to now who I would have never in my life imagined me going to meeting all these cool, just like your ordinary people, but they're in the public figure eye. They are, reaching out and stuff. I would have never imagined that. That's why I started the podcast, the Remember God Loves You and I'll Be at the Finish Line. But now it's expanded to being more sports, political, and it's just cool how you see that grow. And I owe Facebook a thank you, by the way. You know why I owe them thanks?
Oh, why?
Well, because on February 24th of this year, when Ukraine supposedly went to war with Russia, Facebook contacted me and said, you know what, we will no longer want you to do video live streams anymore. And I'm like, why is that? They're like, well, we want to mitigate the Russian disinformation that comes out of Russian citizens. So you're no longer allowed to do live stream anymore. I'm like, perfect. So then I reached out and I kind of had a little bit, I think you and I were in touch, and then you kind of gave me the idea of Anchor, and next thing you know, it was with your help that I actually that I moved over to a different platform, and now look at it, it just flourished, and it just
it's growing. I mean, I pretty much introduced the world to you of podcasting, and look where your show is at now. I mean, it's available on 12 platforms, folks. I mean, Sas's show has grown from just being on one platform, which was Anchor FM, and then the show blossomed over to Spotify, and then fast forward 6 months later, it's gone into, Apple and, Amazon Music, and now he's on iHeartRadio. So, I mean, what a success, Sas, really.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of people ask, they're like, hey, how many, one question that people ask me, they're like, well, how many listeners do you average each episode? And I'm like, and I show them the stats, and I'm like, you can't, I'm like, the thing about Anchor, and I tell them, is like, Anchor picks up the fraction of the listeners. They don't pick up all the 12 platforms. They only pick up what's available on Spotify, Yeah. And so it's just interesting. And I'm like, and another thing is, I'm like, and I kind of divert them away. I'm like, well, I could care less about, well, I don't care about, I love my listeners. I care about listeners on this show and on my show. And, but I'm like, as long as an individual is impacted by what we have to say, or they're educated, then we did our job. You and I both did our job. And that's what Remember God Loves You and I'll Meet at the Finish Line podcast. And so,
I have to say, Sas, I'm kind of jealous, that I wish I had the opportunity to travel more and to meet different people, you do. I mean, it's hard, because, folks, I do this podcast in between, and I thank the radio station that I work for allows me to basically do this show in between. They understand my reach has gone to, really, really good highs and, and levels of podcasting. So I do allow the opportunity for this radio station here in Orlando to give me that opportunity to broadcast this, as a recording. And then, come January, guys, we're going right to video. Yes, the listeners are demanding, Michael, we need to see you on video. January, guys, we're going back to Restream Network. Sas is familiar with it. I had Sas on Restream Network going back to the early roots when I first had him on the show. And you can catch those episodes on Spotify, because Spotify, I believe, is the only platform that does video and audio podcasting. I'm not sure if Amazon Music or even iHeartRadio does that. I don't think they have branched over to the video podcasting. They're more like audio podcasting. No. So you can catch those episodes, guys, in the video format, going back to the mid 200s. I mean, we just finished up episode 330 the other day. And this episode is going to be episode 331. So, I mean, we are growing. I just want to allow the listeners to understand that. So
and another cool thing is that I would have never imagined being a co-host with you. And it's interesting because, there was a previous TikTok that came out, and we had one individual, and then I've also been messaged, and people have been messaging me and contacting me saying, "Are you no longer the co-host on Savage Unfiltered?" So it's because of the TikTok that you put on and stuff, and then it said it looked like that was.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA. Every MyPillow is made with passion here in my home state of Minnesota to ensure you get the best sleep of your life.
One of the things that I really like about MyPillow is the support. It gives my neck a little hug.
I've never slept better in my life. What's better than a great night's sleep?
Sleep is one of the most important things to your health, and MyPillow is one of the most important things to your sleep.
Call or go to MyPillow.com now, and Mike will give you 2 MyPillow premiums for one low price. Use the promo code, and you'll also receive free shipping. That's 2 MyPillow premiums for one low price.
I tried every pillow, from expensive down pillows that just went flat to fiber-filled pillows that rebound every time you move your head. I even tried those memory foam pillows, and the curve did not match my neck, and it probably won't match yours. That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
MyPillow lasts 10 years, is machine washable and dryable, and comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee.
I personally guarantee MyPillow will be the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own, or your money back.
Call or go to MyPillow.com now, and Mike will give you 2 MyPillow premiums for one low price. Use the promo code, and you'll also receive free shipping. That's 2 MyPillow premiums for one low price.
With our 60-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Sleep well, America!
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Savaged Unfiltered.
I got so I don't know if you want to explain to your...
Yes, I got the same amount of reactions too, and I reached out to some of my followers on TikTok, and I said, no, Sauce is not leaving us. He's very much part of the show. He's just getting attacked in his home state of Wisconsin because they feel that he's a hypocrite, and would they call you a Nazi too, Sauce?
A Nazi, a neo-fascist, Vladimir Putin lover, a Russian Jew. So
a Russian Jew. Yeah, that's a new one.
It is. So I'm not leaving your show, by the way, unless if you no. And how do you? So do you also want to tell your listeners how we became good friends, and how we I don't know, how did we become good friends? Somebody asked me that as well. I'm like, I don't know how we became good friends. I don't know how we actually started co-hosting together. How do you want to explain to the listeners, or?
Yeah. Earlier this year, I received a message through matchmaker.fm. Now, when you hear matchmaker.fm, a lot of people, kind of go the avenue where it could be like a dating site. No, folks, I get the label matchmaker. It does sound like a dating site, but it's not. It's actually a site for podcasters and content creators to connect to one another, to help grow their shows, to get guests on your show. It's a tremendous platform. They do have 2 features on the platform. There's a free section, and then there is a paid section, where you can subscribe to that section, and then it allows you to get, more in-depth, listeners and guests and everything else. which we are. I mean, I pay for that service, and some of the guests I get are tremendous. Actors, authors, comedians, just about everybody. That reaches out to the show. Sas was actually one of those guests earlier in the year. He reached out to me through a reference that somebody referenced him to my show. And he was like, I seen your show, Michael. I'd like to be part of your show as a guest. I think I can bring a lot of material that I have and I express through politics and even my personal background story of coming from Russia. And I'm like, I heard that, Sas, and I'm like, okay, let's bring Sas on.
Yeah. And the whole thing is that, but there's something that where I gravitated towards the show, and I said, okay, this is it's like a perfect puzzle piece. We're missing that puzzle piece to make it like really successful, because you can have you can. That's why you co-host on my show. So I remember God loves you, and I'm at the finish line. And the reason why you do that is because there's something that there's like a one-time show. Like I allow guests one time, and if I see them, like, okay, thank you for coming on. You have a great day. Don't be afraid to reach out and stuff. But there's something that I gravitated towards your show. So I'm like, you know what? I can be along with the show. I can go along and I can help him out because I do a lot of research and I go traveling. Part of my traveling goes to DC, to Madison, and I go and sit in on committees, and and I'm like, okay, you know what? If he's a news show, let me help him out. Let me help him by reporting on things, by sending him like pieces of information, and let's work together. And so far, we've worked fantastically.
I mean, the chemistry, Sauce, is like it's right there, the on-screen chemistry. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's so great that for your listeners and my listeners, I'm going to be privileged and honored to go down to Orlando, Florida, to do if I'd say second time's the charm. Hopefully nothing bad happens like that horrific car accident you had about a month ago. Man, I would never wish that upon anyone.
Yeah, don't bring that up, man. That was crazy. But I got to say here, because we're going to go on to the Scooby Doo thing here. I want to touch on that, but I have to ask this question, Sas.
Yeah.
Like, what did you see in my show at first? You said you seen something? What was that something that you seen? Because I'm curious now.
Oh no, you're good. So when I saw your show, I'm like, okay, this guy is, because you have a lot of people that you have a lot of people that invite me on the shows and stuff because of my sympathy story, because of my background, because of all that. But I'm like,
I'm all that in a bag of
if I
chips.
go on this guy's show and if I kind of reach out to him, he's not going to expose and he's not going to dwell on the bad things in my life and use that to use his own personal gain, and as well as how's this show going to help me as well? So it's kind of like you got to look at both sides. But I've also looked at myself and I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? If I go on his show, the reason why I love about your show, is because you do the true reporting. And sometimes, you do your true reporting and it's uncut, it's raw. And there's bloopers. And, we're just like all human, because you see a lot of these shows that per se, like they have all these cool get outs and like they pretend they're in the news media, or they pretend like they're all in when they do the show, and so they pretend they're in the radio station. Now, I'm not saying you, but and then they get exposed very easily.
Yeah. We did put out some amazing
bloopers.
I hate to say, we did put out some amazing graphics in yesterday's show. Did you tune into that? I don't know if you had time to, because I know you're traveling and everything, but
I did not. I'm going to be open and transparent. I have not had time. I've not even had time to answer phone calls or even answer emails because of this.
You definitely want to tune into yesterday's show. You were on yesterday, Sas. I mean, obviously, do you have the iHeartRadio app in your car?
So I actually, because when I travel and stuff, now since I'm in Texas and stuff, and when we did our show and stuff, I was actually in Oklahoma where the traffic wasn't quite as bad and where there's distracted driving. So I have not had checked with iHeart yet, because when you say to Texas, the traffic is just absolutely bad, and people from California don't know how to drive. So you get very conscientious. So I shut my phone off. I have my GPS in my car that I use, so I have not had time. And I have your old-fashioned car, so I have like your radio, like your dial radio. So
okay. So you got something to listen to when you head back to Wisconsin, I guess.
Yes, or Indiana, I should say.
Yeah, or Indiana. But guys, before we get into this next topic here,
Michael Gardner, uncut, raw, uncensored.
I just want to allow the listeners to understand. I did a show the other day, and I always give credit to where it's due. If I see something special and magical in an episode, I'm going to plug it into my show. We did an episode the other day, Sas and I, about vacation and spots that you need to stay away from and everything. And I got to tell you guys, the feedback that we're getting from that show, that Sas is getting from that show, and including me, because I was part of the show as a co-host on that show, is tremendous. I do want to say, Sas, I don't know if you've seen the report come out on that episode, but it's doing tremendously right now on iHeartRadio, and there's another app, Amazon Music. Those were basically the two dominating platforms on that episode. So, I want to say thank you to iHeartRadio and Amazon Music for that show. And thank you to the listeners that tuned into that episode the other day on Sas's show. Remember, God loves you, and I'll meet you at the finish line. Yeah.
Yep. And I would also like to apologize. So sometimes for my guests and stuff, so I do two shows. So the first show is your normal, like your daily devotions. So that's another show. And that's just my regular show. That's why I kind of keep not gravitation, but I kind of keep people intrigued. So then I started expanding with the vacation. So when I have guests on, the shows are a little bit longer than scheduled. That's why. And if when you and I when we travel and stuff, I'm like, what, I'm willing to have this a little bit longer because there's so much information, and you rather keep the show interesting and expand your audience and expand the horizon, so they can say, oh, you know what, there's some words of encouragement at the beginning of. So that's why I do
sure
today.
Sure, and it goes the same thing too, folks. I mean, obviously Sas is reaching out on different panels of his show. He has his regular Christian-based spirituality show that his show is known for. And then he does other things such as sports, and he gets into regular interviews with other guests that he may have on from time. And the same thing that goes with me. I'm starting to branch out to different panels. I mean, on Mondays and Wednesdays, you can hear me and Joseph normally talk about politics. Sometimes we get into interviews with guests. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I like to have Sas on, depending on his schedule, because I know he's traveling right now. But usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, we normally have Sas on, for the bonus shows. So it's a good panel that we bring to the show. So I do thank you, Sas, for being part of the show as always. And if you don't mind, man, I gotta get into the Scooby Doo thing because
no, you're good. I'm excited. Let's go for it.
Yeah. I gotta watch the time because we have 1 p.m. We have a scheduled with two TikTok personalities that's going to be on the show.
Ooh.
So I hope you have time for that, Sas. I don't know if you have time, but
will it be audio?
It's going to be audio. Yeah.
Okay. So quick question. Okay, when I heard about this Elma or Velma? Why? Okay, this is part of the woke agenda that they're pushing. So, okay, now I'm diving back in. Okay, pardon my language, but why are they distorting the Scooby Doo? And it's like the same one, like in the Scooby Doo game, they took out the police officer, so you get to call the van. So this goes along with their woke agenda. So like in the video games, you can no longer call the police officer to catch the bad guy. You have to contact the van. So the Scooby Doo van comes and picks up the bad guy. And then same thing with the new Scooby Doo, Velma. She's now a lesbian. Now, what's next? Are they gonna make? What's his name? The other guy, Shaggy, or what's his name? Shaggy. Yeah. Are they gonna make
Shaggy?
Are they gonna make him like a fuzzy furry whatever individual? So they're gonna have like a horse as his compadre in crime, or what? What's next? A drag show?
I guess. Well, Sas, are you familiar with the series on how it started out? Like, do you know the background of Scooby Doo?
Yes, and I used to watch it. I watched the show. Like I'm like, have you ever heard of the Boomerang show? Like the Boomerang TV, like your old fashioned show, like it's got the jets.
Oh yeah, that was on like Cartoon Network, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to watch that back in the day, when I was younger. But now it's like I wouldn't want to watch the new Scooby Doo because it's like not what it's about. They're going along with the woke agenda, and the new people are going along, and now they've just ruined the old they've ruined the old cartoon.
Well, here's the background of the story for the listeners that are not aware of Scooby Doo. Okay, because I don't want to go too much into this segment here without explaining. Okay. Scooby Doo. The background of the story first took place in the 1960s. So it's a very, very old cartoon. I grew up off of Scooby Doo. Now it sets in the 1960s, right? Now, you mentioned Shaggy. Shaggy, for those who are not aware of Shaggy's like persona and character, he's a pothead. He's constantly getting high, and that's pretty much why he always acts the way he acts. He acts goofy on screen, and he's constantly with his that's why they call him Shaggy, because of his voice. He's constantly high, and the majority of those characters, Sauce, were always smoking weed. So that's why they always look that way.
Yeah. And so what is I'm sorry if I jumped into it, but I want to hear your thoughts. What is that? What are you thinking when you heard about Velma becoming a lesbian? What is your thoughts? I'm sorry I took that away. I didn't mean to do that, but.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Well, there was always a mystery, right? Obviously, they drove in that van called the mystery van, right? But there was a mystery about Velma, right?
Yeah.
Velma always looked like an outsider of the group. She always did. She had that collared turtleneck sweater. She had like that weird, 1960s, like bob haircut type of thing. And then she had like the nerdy looking glasses.
Here are your Scooby snacks.
I always thought she was just like the rest of the gang, she was just like a nerdy college kid. But you got to remember, Velma is not an original character of Scooby Doo. She first made her first appearance on the episode entitled "What a Night for a Night" in 1969. That was her very first appearance. Like I said, she came into the gang of Scooby Doo as an outsider. And they really didn't know who she was. Like she at first she didn't fit into the gang, right? She didn't fit into the group there. So they kind of outed her of the gang, and they actually did call her an outsider. And then over the years, like in the early 70s, they were more friendlier with Velma. Now, just in a recent episode, which is going to be airing on HBO, I'm told, there's going to be a scene where they reveal that Velma is now a lesbian.
She smiled and looked at me. I was surprised to see that a woman like that was real into me.
And she has a mild sex scene with another woman in the cartoon. Yeah.
Why? That ruins. So what are kids supposed to do then?
I'm not sure, but this was being reported out of Variety.com. If everybody's familiar with that website, Variety.com, they actually have Google now. So if you Google Scooby Doo Velma, I don't know if you've seen this, Sasa, or if you experimented with this type of search, but Google now, like I said, if you Google search Scooby Doo Velma, they are showing Velma with that search with confetti and gay pride flags drapered down on the screen.
Yeah.
That first made an appearance on Google search this past Wednesday. I don't know why Google is going this way, but I mean, to be honest with you, like you said, Sas, it fits this woke type of agenda, and it's really disgusting if you ask me.
So actually, I'm going to send you something because I did the same exact thing, and you would never guess what came up with it. Right here. So I sent it to you. So I put on Google.
Yeah.
All right. Velma from Scooby Doo, and that's what showed up.
Yeah. Did you see the confetti flags that Draper down?
Yeah. Oh, and every single thing. Yeah, I sent it to you.
I told you. I wasn't bullshitting with you, Sauce.
No.
This is an actual thing that Google is doing. It's disgusting. No one wants to see this shit.
No.
Disgusting.
Well, how are you supposed to make it kid friendly now? Where are they supposed to young kids? Well, oh, that's right. You gotta go after the nuclear family. You gotta go after distort the kids and saying, "Oh, it's okay."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to have a kid, we're thank goodness I don't have kids. How am I supposed to explain to them when they ask me, "Mom or Dad, what are they doing on TV?" I thought, what happened to their mommy and daddy, like to the husband? Oh, well, I'm sorry, son or daughter. Apparently, in this day and age, we have moms kissing moms and dads kissing dads and zebras kissing people. I don't know.
Man, that's some fucked up shit.
Well, it is going to be hard to explain to the kids, but, obviously our generation and everything, we always had a realization of what Scooby Doo was. It was a bunch of, nerdy college kids that smoked a lot of weed, that drove around in a weird, like lime green type of colored van that they called the Mystery Machine. And they went around looking for clues. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a psychedelic van, no offense.
Dude, I thought they were doing more than weed in that fucking van, Sauce. I remember when I was 12 years old, man, watching an episode of Scooby Doo, and I'm looking at my brother, which is like a couple of years younger than me at the time, and I'm like, Rob, man, they got to be doing more than weed in that van. They got to be doing like crystal meth, because half these freaking kids, man, in this show are like literally stoned out of their mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a pothead that talks to a dog named Scooby, and then the dog talks back. I mean, come on.
We gotta find a place to hide. In here. Ghost. Let's get
There had to be mushrooms being played out in that scene.
Shrooms, yeah. Yeah. So, I wonder about that. Whether they actually. I don't want to ruin my childhood, actually. So I'm just going to leave that to a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's some things are meant for a mystery, while the other things are not meant for. It's just. Yeah. So what's going to be interesting now is going to see what they're going how off kilter they're going to make the scene of Velma making out with the girl, like how exposing that's going to be.
I mean, can you understand, like you said, Silas, imagine, obviously this show would be like ideal for like possibly like an 8 to 11-year-old.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend a 5 or 6 or anybody below 6 years old watch this show. Even back then, I wouldn't recommend it, because it was like almost like a mild version of like Beavis and Butthead or like Ren and Stimpy or something,
Yeah. Well, now I wouldn't want to recommend this to 8 to 11-year-olds. They're going to push that agenda and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, even the cartoons going back, I mean, it really, I knew what the cartoons were about then, but it really didn't alter my
see you in a month, baby.
My mental estate watching these things. I can remember watching, I just mentioned Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, because, obviously, Sash, you're like, 16 years younger than me. So, are you, do you know what I'm talking about? Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Beavis and Butthead were like basically two stoners, they were potheads, and they were like, hey, Beavis, let's look at that girl. She's got big boobs, that was Beavis and Butthead. And then you had Ren and Stimpy that were like, they looked like they were characters out of like a toxic plant or something somewhere in Chicago, and they were going around their town trying to look for world domination. So I mean, some of the cartoons that came out over the years. I mean, I can go back to like fuck South Park. Everybody remembers South Park.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still on to this day. I mean.
Well,
talk about a cartoon. Good. Yeah, it used to be good. It used to be really, really good.
And now it's just absolutely raunchy.
It's gone raunchy. Yeah, I think they killed Kenny way too many times in that cartoon.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's cartoons today are going way overboard, literally way overboard,
and they're going woke
So-
to go along with the woke agenda. But hey, like I said before, if you want to brainwash, if you want to re-educate the generation, if you want to like destroy a country, you know where you hit it? You hit it at the kids level. So you push the propaganda, political propaganda on this younger generation, this woke stuff. So when they graduate high school, when they go into high school,
This
they've
is
already
Lisa. She just recorded her first video interview. She spent months trying to get her favorite guest on her show, and then this happened.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks. I'm really excited to be here.
This is what happens when you don't use Riverside.
Riverside? What's that?
Riverside is a brand new way to record your remote podcasts and video interviews in studio quality straight from your browser. Riverside locally records each audio and video feed during the stream. Because of this, even if your internet is bad, your recording will still look professional. It will make any recording look and sound like it was recorded in this guy's studio, even if it was recorded here. Or even here, at your Dutch grandmother's house, who's acting in this ad because she loves you. In fact, with Riverside, she could start a podcast as well.
Okay, so how does it work?
You can just send your guests a link, hit record, hit stop, and download all the recordings, all within the platform. Even your guests will understand it.
And how long does it take for recording to upload?
Riverside uploads your audio and video while you are recording. So when you hit stop, you can download the recording within seconds.
What if my computer crashes?
Computer crashed or you refreshed your page while recording? No problem. The recordings are saved automatically. Think Riverside.fm only does the basics? Wrong. The platform records up to 4K video and uncompressed wave audio. You can personalize your recording studio with custom branding. And with producer mode, you can change the volume levels and monitor your guests' equipment. Join these companies and start recording remote podcasts and video interviews that look and sound professional. Riverside. Sweatpants friendly.
They've already been numb to it, and now, like you said, now they're programmed to react at certain things. And that's
but why do you go into this direction? Like, why do they have to go this direction? I know we've said this. I mean, we've had this category and this topic on my show many times, and I think we mentioned it a few times on your show. But like, why do they have to constantly push this crap?
Because they're going after the nuclear family. They're going after the Christians. They're going after the Christians that they're going after the nuclear family, and like the families that abide by God, and families that are like biblical values. Because if you have to because this country, was founded upon the biblical Judeo values. The founding fathers were Christians, and they were Catholics, and so they attended the church and stuff. So they based off the Constitution off of this. They based off the UCMJ, which is a military thing, after this. So in order to destroy that, you also have to get rid of you have to rewrite history. And one way to rewrite history is you push this whole hatred. Towards America, and this brainwashing towards America onto the next generation. That's what they've done, and that's what they're doing right now as we're speaking. And that's what you and I are fighting against it. And people don't like that.
No, they don't like it one damn bit. They want their attention. I want attention. I want attention.
Yeah.
You want attention? Let me go give you a lollipop. Do you want attention then? Shut the hell up. No one wants to hear your damn attention.
Dumbass.
Yeah. You want
your attention is disgusting.
Yeah. Or another thing that I'm noticing is that if you want attention and stuff, most people that want attention, they change their gender. So they become gay, or they become transgender and stuff in order for people to make them look good or feel good. Oh, you know what? You changed? Oh, okay. Wow, you're so cool. Let me pay attention to you. You're loved. Well, if you want people to pay attention to you, just do the right thing. Don't be afraid. Just do what you and I do. Just start reporting the truth, and all sorts of people will pay attention to you. And don't be insecure about yourself, because if you're insecure about yourself, that means you're going to be more susceptible of people hurting and taking advantage of you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's what it comes to.
Yeah.
No offense to the listeners that are battling with this kind of stuff, but if you want to keep strong as an individual, and this goes, I'm going to relate to the mental illness. The problem of this generation that we're having, the reason we're having more mental illness, for instance, in Chicago, or actually New York City, we have more high influx of people going to see mental illness doctors because they aren't exposed, because they're tired of being exposed to the hate crime and to like all this like the violence that's going on. So they're going to mental illness. Well, here's how you solve it. You man up and you tell your kids, hey, this is what you do. If a person comes up to you and they are trying to take advantage of you, you hit them, or you say, like, you stand your ground and you don't allow them to walk all over you. That's what's going on, and that's what instills mental health. And that's why we have a bunch of people going out and doing these mass shootings and just leading a horrible life and just self-seeking attention. So you look at the Nicholas Cruz, the Dave Brooks, that's the trial going on. They're putting on a theatrical show because all they want is attention. So they're going to distort things. That's a mental illness. That is a very severe mental illness. And no, I'm not trying to bash it. So I want to clarify, I'm not trying to bash anyone with mental illness. But
no,
majority of it is
obviously, Sauce is a very serious thing. I mean, everybody battles it every day here in America. You know, there's so many different forms of mental illness: anxiety, depression, eating disorders. I mean, it's so many mental illness. Different categories of it, and it's constantly growing. There's actually a new category being added to mental illness literally day by day. There's a new condition.
Yep.
And
well, you know what I call that now? I call manufacturing mental illness. So
I've heard the term, yeah.
Yeah. So when you manufacture mental illness, what you're doing is that you are purposely manufacturing. You're causing people to instill, and you're causing people to go on all these drugs, like Zoloft and all these mental, like, prescribed. Look at the veterans. No offense, like, as a veteran and stuff, and I see this happen right away when they say you're down. Oh, let's give you Zoloft, or let's get you all this. So they're hooked on it. And again, what does this happen when they're hooked on Zoloft, or when they're hooked on all these mental health illness pills and stuff? They can't get off of it now. So now they have to face with the adverse reaction. So now when you have people, now this is also relating to people like that do all these mass shootings. Have you noticed that majority of them forgot to say they forgot to take their medicine?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Nicholas Cruz, Dave Brooks said that. Oh, I forgot to take my medicine. I didn't take my mental health pills. So it's easier way for the justice system to say, oh, you know what? So we can't give you a fair trial because it wasn't you, it was the other you. So then it's part of this wonderful justice system. That's why I call it manufacturing mental illness to destroy a country.
Yeah.
No offense.
It's media driven.
Offending your real listeners. What's that?
I said it's media driven. Yeah, I know we kind of crossed over each other as we've talked, but yeah, it's media driven. That's what I was basically 100%. Saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, hold the line here, Sas. I got to get into something real quick here before we depart, because we got about another 10 minutes here. I gotta basically reset this and start the recording here for the 1 o'clock show for the TikTok personalities coming on, which I hope you have some time. Even 10, 15 minutes, Sas, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
You really enjoy this conversation with them. But guys, I have a new sponsor here. Which is great because, sponsors really keep the show growing. And, obviously having a sponsor on the show is very important because, obviously they listen to the show and they like what they hear. And, it's always great having them part of the show. Fetch Rewards, guys, just brand new sponsor here on the show, Fetch Rewards. Thank you very much. Guys, for those who are always throwing away those receipts, don't throw them away, guys. Download Fetch Rewards app, available on Google Play and the App Store on Apple. Save those receipts. Capture the receipt. They turn into rewards. You can use them for gift cards like Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, gift cards, just about everywhere. I know there's like airline tickets, Greyhound. Everything is on Fetch Rewards. Save that receipt. Don't throw it away. Use that receipt for a good benefit. Capture that receipt and turn it into money, guys. Yes, I never thought of it. I downloaded Fetch Rewards, and I'm telling you right now, every receipt that I have You would be amazed how many receipts I have by the end of the week. And I'm just snap, 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 and I'm turning it into money. So download Fetch Rewards on the App Store or Google Play. Back here on the show, we're going to close it out here in about a minute or two. Sauce, do you have any final words, man, before we close it out?
No, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to do this birthday special with you. And later on today, I will also be doing a birthday special on my show, opening up to the listeners and kind of giving the listeners a different perspective of my life. And also check out on Monday or on Tuesday, check out with the Congresswoman interview. We're going to do a special show. And thank you again for doing this. And I'm excited for the TikTok influences that you and I are going to do for the next show. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And it was great having you on the show. And sorry we had to get into the lesbian scenario here on the show, but it's disgusting material. And I really want to allow, my generation to understand, just how woke these childhood cartoons are going. It's grotesque, Sauce. It really is, man.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse. I hate to say it.
But yeah, it is going to get worse. Guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Savage Unfiltered Podcast. We are doing a Savage Brief. So this podcast episode will be a Savage Unfiltered Podcast, a regular podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. Remember to hit that like and follow button on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and every major podcast platform. Take it easy, guys, and have a good Friday afternoon.